This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but rocking a beautiful Toronto background behind me because I consider that my true home. And yeah, looking forward to going there hopefully sometime before the end of the year. But we're not talking about the end of the year yet because we're going to be talking about the end of the month. I'm going to be going to Chiller for the first time, and it'll be my first time in the United States. Just got myself a passport a couple of years ago. I'll be assisting Lisa Langlois at her table, my fourth convention with her, my first in the States, of course. But also, a few of my other guests going to be there, including a couple of the Warriors, like Apache Ramos from the Orphans, David Harris from the Warriors themselves, and hopefully we'll have my guest today there as well, because we got about 16 cast from that movie. It's a big one. Why? Because the Warriors is celebrating at the Blu-ray right here. The Warriors is celebrating its 45th anniversary this year. 1979, I would have been 7 years old that year, and certainly wasn't allowed to be running around folks were at night. But folks, I have one of the Lizzies on the show with me today. Folks, I give you the absolutely awesome Iris Klein. How do you do, Iris?
I do very well. Thank you for including me. I'm very
Absolutely. Well,
happy to be here.
Tommy Kovac from Splat from the Past recommended you strongly to me because he knew that I was going to be meeting uh, Apache and David at Chiller, and he was seeing if he could connect me with some of the other cast members, and um, because it's going to be um, because I know at these conventions you can spend a lot of money. And I know last year when I did Frightmare in the Falls, I ended up meeting 30 people and I went way over budget. And I got to control that this year. And I look at like we got about 16 of the Warriors there, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to afford to get all of their signatures. So I have a thing. People that's done my show get first dibs, you know. So Apache's made me an honorary orphan. He's been on here 3 times. He gets in, and so does David Harris. I'm hoping for a connection with some of the others, and I'm hoping that you're going to be there.
I'm
Oh,
hoping so. Oh, your
is
your
it the
your audience, yeah.
yeah? Are the Lizzies attacking your background?
Yeah, something like that. I fixed it.
You fixed it. There you go. I
Thank you.
I work overnights doing cleaning, so during the pandemic, I never stopped. But I got home this morning and I was like, I should watch the Warriors. It's been a little while, and I gotta say, and I've told the story a million times. I'm gonna be 52 this year, this summer, and it's I've lived here my whole life until 2017, and of course, the woman I'm assisting at Chiller, um, Lisa Langlois, invited me to assist her at my first convention in Toronto in 2017. It was my first time traveling really anywhere. And my first time on a plane, which I loved. And she skilled me on the subways. And which brings me to the Warriors because the subway really conjoins the entire movie, and I was just enjoying that aspect there today. As I watched this, because I don't know, we don't have a subway system here, and it's kind of I enjoyed seeing that in the Warriors, so I love that. But I am hoping that you get to Chiller. Do you get to do many conventions?
I have not done any. There's supposed to be one, I'm in California. There's supposed to be one in Burbank last month, but they've moved it to June. So no, I haven't. It just sort of came to me recently where, I mean, I get fan mail or things to sign and I send them back. But then a couple of these guys said you need to be at the Chiller convention. And then they connected me up with the man who coordinates all that. So I'm thinking I probably will be there this year for my
Oh,
first time.
awesome. Well, you know what? Eddie Mika is one of the promoters for that. And little shout out to him because when Lisa Langlois, who I'm going to be assisting there, was announced, I did a little post on her on the Facebook page, you know, about what fans will be in for and what an awesome person she was. And Eddie was really cool and um, invited me, put me on the guest list to be there. And I'm
Mm.
like, how? I think that's really, really, really cool, you know? So I'm gonna be there all uh 3 days and I guess I'm automatically in. And I'm meeting up with author Charles Rosny of the Top 10 Horror List, who's also going to have a booth set up there. He's been on the show 3 times, and we're going to be splitting a hotel room, you know, so, in not the Hilton side, but the Hampton side, because I guess they're attached, and because I like to be in the same vicinity where Lisa is, so I can help her carry anything if she needs to. So yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Good.
that's what a gentleman does, you know?
That's right. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. But before we get into the Warriors, I would like to get a little bit of your background and what got you into the industry, because I know you've got your hand in a lot of the elements of filmmaking, including behind the scenes, but you're on screen for the Warriors. What uh what led you to get into the business?
Mm. Well, my mother was an acting teacher in New York first, then out in Los Angeles, and she's quite legendary, Janet Alhanty. So I grew up. She was studying with a man named Sanford Meisner, who is one of he's legendary for a technique that he developed for actors. And so I was a kid, and she was studying with him, and so I, kind of automatically fell into helping her rehearse her lines, memorizing, etc. And then I have a cousin who's choreographer, Jerome Robbins, and he did West Side Story, Fiddler on the Roof, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, on and on and on. And so I was a child, and I would go to the theater, on Broadway, and I'm a little, and I was very affected by, the first show I saw on Broadway from the fifth row was West Side Story. So kind of like Warriors and gangs. So it was a natural thing for me to fall into. And I fell in love with it. And then I watched Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton from like a very small theater. They were reading poetry, rhetoric, and verse, and they were madly in love with each other. And I'm 12 and I'm watching that, and I'm like, I want to do this too. So it's all of those elements. So yeah, so I acted in New York in film and in the theater. Then I ultimately moved out to LA and did TV, film, theater here, and I teach as well. I teach acting and coach actors. So it's I also paint and sculpt, but that's been my livelihood, for teaching and coaching for many years.
I've had a few people on here that paint and sculpt, you
Mm-hmm.
know, yeah, that do that also.
Nice.
Now, in terms of your teaching, do you teach people how not to fall for the shenanigans of the Lizzies when they're
It can't be helped. Come on. Yeah. Can't ignore the Lizzies. Can't avoid them. Yeah. No, I teach them how to work. I teach them how to act, how to be truthful. In another reality, basically. someone else's circumstances, how to be honest and truthful.
One of the things I loved about the Lizzie scene is it was the youngest of the warriors who was not getting involved intimately with the Lizzies, and he was just kind of watching around. You would think he would be the immature one that would be falling for all this, but he's kind of like nervous and he's kind of, you know,
Sensing it, yeah.
yeah,
He's
and I
aware.
was like, yeah, and I was like, you know, I thought it was cool that he was the one that was kind of noticing something here doesn't seem right, and so
Right, yeah. Aware, very
yeah.
aware. Instinctive.
hmm Tell me about getting cast in The Warriors. I mean, you get to work with legendary director Walter Hill, of course, and
Walter, wonderful human being, wonderful man. So how did I get cast? It's kind of a fun story. I'm, in my teens, and I get called as an extra. So I go down to the job that day, which is on the subway, and I'm young and adorable, and so they sit me down in a spot, and we're on the train, and the Warriors are there. And then, James Remar and I start talking, and then there's a photographer taking pictures, and then we're okay, we're going to shoot. I sit back down on my spot, and they go, okay, wait, move, go down there, go down there. So they keep moving me out of the shot, because what I figured is, in reality, there's no way those guys aren't going to come over to me and maybe try and pick me up or talk me up, chat me up. So they keep moving me. So finally, cut. Walter Hill calls me over. He says, "You want a part?" I said, "Sure." He's like, "Come back Monday. You're a Lizzie." I said, "Okay, I'll see you Monday." And that's how that happened. I mean, it was a beautiful thing, to go from, basically background to, becoming a Lizzie, which I knew already it was exciting. And everyone was very nice, and Walter was wonderful. Yeah, it was just a beautiful situation.
yeah, watching it this morning, it was like I I kept paying so much attention to the subway because, like I said, um, I remember when I met Lisa in Toronto, she schooled me on the subways, and it it's funny because now when I go to Toronto, I know exactly what I'm doing there on subway, and I'm like, um, it was something brand new to me. So anytime I see a subway in a movie, it's kind of now nostalgic for me, or more recent nostalgic, but nostalgic nonetheless. And
Right.
I love the
Yeah.
fact that all the gangs were so distinctive. You had the baseball furies, you had the Lizzies, you had the ones on the roller skates, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you had the orphans with Apache. By the way, when I had Apache on here and when I had David Harris on there, I had to ask them, what happened to their afros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they said their afros are long gone. I'm like, well,
It happens. That's how it goes.
yeah, yeah, but nonetheless, they were great to talk to, and but I like the moment though when the Lizzies show up there, and because that's when, of course, the Warriors end up getting split into a couple of groups there, and
Yeah.
uh, so three of them end up with the Lizzies, and of course, the Lizzies look like this harmless group because, well, they look approachable. They look harmless because they're females. This was the same year Sigourney Weaver did Alien, but maybe they didn't go to the theater and see that and see how women can kick butt. So they had to find out the
I
hard way.
I think Walter produced Aliens. I think Walter Hill produced, didn't he? I think so.
I don't know, maybe, but
Yeah. I'll have to
but
check, but I have a feeling. But yeah.
Yeah, but here we are in 2024. I would imagine the Lizzies probably wouldn't be as approachable today.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
They probably cast several MMA Ronda Rousey in there or something.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, well, we're gonna keep walking.
Right, exactly.
We're not
Yeah,
going back there.
the
But I
den.
like the fact that you guys had this inviting, almost timid um presentation to you. And then of course, uh you guys lured them in, and then of course, if it hadn't have been for the young fella happened to be hot on his feet, who knows how that would have gone down. Probably not good for the Warriors.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, the girls were packing, I think, yeah, packing guns and just now that you're in our territory, so now we've got you. So yeah, it was exciting. It was really like carefully choreographed and looks like it's not, you know, just
absolutely. Now, was that a real location there, or was that a set? Now, I'm assuming a location because the Warriors looks like it was an independent shoot, but
it was, as I recall, it was a location. uh I mean, we didn't walk onto a stage or in a
okay.
studio, so yeah, as I recall, it was on a location. Of course, we walk into, it's the first time I'd seen it, so um I just kind of followed the pack, and we went into the room and got our seats and got placed, and then the scene ensued and worked through it, the dancing and the watching and the, recon, all that energy, once the guys were in the room. Yeah.
Now, did you go to the premiere when it was done?
I did not go. I can't remember where I was, but I know I was not at the premiere, as I recall. But I did see it in the theater, and I remember when it opened because there was already like some disgruntledness in the country, and so when the movie was supposed to be released, they were saying they weren't going to release it because they were worried, or about any violence. And then they had the Joe Walsh soundtrack, and so there was some, I think, commotion about it in terms of like what it's going to prompt. Is it going to prompt some violence? And because it was a powerful film, from what I understand, I was told years ago, and maybe you need to like fact check this, but I was told by someone that the movie was originally made by Paramount as a tax write-off because Paramount needed a write-off. And so they thought this would be the film, but then it ended out being very successful and then a cult classic. So I just thought that was a little interesting trivia.
Well, you know
Just,
what?
yeah.
Porky's was done as a tax write-off, and it ended up
Okay.
being one of the top five grossing films of '82.
Maybe that's the way to approach the movie. We'll go in as a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I
I,
can't believe they wouldn't have had faith in this movie because it's definitely a great looking movie.
yeah, it really is. Yeah. But I think it surprised everyone in that way, if that is a fact, which is what I know to be true, but just double check. But yeah, it surprised everyone, I think, you know.
Well, here we're like 45 years later. Now, of course, I would have been 7 the year that came out. I did not see it at that age, mind you, but nonetheless, I'm glad I did eventually discover the movie. Obviously got it on Blu-ray, so obviously I enjoyed it. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I don't make a habit of getting movies I detest, but
No.
yeah, that would make for dreadful viewing experience at home. But but
Yes.
what do you think about the Warriors being what it is today?
How it, like, in the success of the film,
Like the
or
cult following that it has, and the fact that there's going
sure.
to be right now there's 16 of you billed for Chiller. Like, I mean, like there's a big thing surrounding this movie. I
I
mean,
know. It's
yeah.
amazing. I mean, how it happens, I don't know. Maybe it's just you throw it up in the air and you see how it lands. But people who are, fans are diehard fans. They just, I get letters from Germany, with pictures that I've never seen of myself, and they're mailing me pictures from the movie, or from whoever was taking the photos on the set or whatever. And so I get photos I haven't seen, and then I give a signature, send it back. But it's amazing that there are like such diehard fans of the movie. You know, it was a production designer named Dick Silbert. He didn't do this movie, but Richard Silbert once told me that every story is about getting home. And so, this surely is that. And maybe everyone could relate on some level to that premise, getting home. And so their journey was what it is. But I think maybe that speaks to people. It's not necessarily a physical home. It can be a spiritual home, but it could be a place where you find yourself feeling connected, you know, in the heart. So
Talk about
uh,
doing the fight scene with the Lizzies. Was that difficult?
nothing was really difficult. Everything was really, I think, really well organized. I mean, these were pros, everyone knew what they were doing. And it was pretty spontaneous. Hey, let's put a dance here, and you two are dancing, and you check him out, and you're going to appear and say, want to dance. And it all sort of happened. It unfolded organically in the moment, a lot of it.
Mhm.
I mean, there was script, and they knew what they needed to get on camera, but there was a feeling of community, union, and we were all in it together. Which is great, because that's the Lizzie energy. All the groups, all the gangs, they all have that energy of, we're a community, we're in it together, we need to take care of ourselves and each other.
Well, hopefully you'll be at Chiller. Now I've wondered, are you still in touch with any of the other Lizzies?
Well, Doran Clark and I became friends,
Mhm.
and we were friends in New York. We met on set. Then she moved out to California. I moved out to California. We've remained friends. So, we talk on a daily, but we're friends. I call, she calls, we meet for lunch, you know, and so our families kind of grew up, the same age kids. So we stay connected. I haven't really talked. I know James Remar is out here. I've seen him like in the past a few times, but probably not in 25 years. So, but I know he's around.
Oh
Wonderful
yeah.
actor. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it funny too that Michael Beck went from this to Xanadu, It's like
Right.
they
Something
they
for
should
everyone.
they should have done a mesh up there.
Something for everyone. Anyway, yeah.
That's too funny. That's too funny. It's funny because I was talking about the following this film has. Um when I started, the first convention I did with Lisa was Horrorama in Toronto, and I've done four of those. And I remember at the 2018 one, I caught a glimpse of myself in a walk around video somebody was doing. And I ended up getting connected with the guy that did the walk around video. He goes by the name. He's not on social media, but he does have a YouTube channel called Creepy Ghoul Ferris.
Hmm.
And I reached out to him and I had him on the show here. And we talked, and I got connected with him only because I caught a glimpse of myself in one of his walk around videos, and I got to meet him last year, or not last year, the year before when at Horrorama, and he actually got me talking on camera when he did his walk around video, and he and I got talking, and he has told me that his two all-time favorite movies are the original Halloween and The
Hmm.
Warriors. Now, I don't know what he has, but he told me that he's got memorabilia, like very unique memorabilia of the Warriors,
Mm,
like stuff a lot of people either wouldn't know about, and I can't think off the top of my head because I know he went in with it. I know he's got the laser disc and all that
hmm.
stuff, you know.
Hmm.
He's got all that stuff, but I know he's got very unique memorabilia. So I texted him this morning. I said, I have an Iris Klein on Python's Paradise today. I'm sure you know who that is. Of course he does, you
Right, but
know?
my name on the credits is Alhanti, Iris Alhanti.
Hmm.
So he may not know Klein, but Iris he would know anyway.
Yes, yes. But I've been trying to I know get a Zoom connected because I know Apache has mentioned it too, to connect him with people from the Warriors, and because I would, if he's, and I know he does have the unique stuff that he has, I think
Mm,
that'd be cool if he was able to show that to you guys, you know?
wow, sure,
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
So, yeah, he's on YouTube. He's under the name Creepy Ghoul, although he's not a creepy guy, but yeah, that's what he goes by. So,
It's good. It's a good
but
name.
yeah. Oh, I know when he does his videos, he does have a Warriors poster behind him. So,
Oh, interesting. Right.
oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So, but anyway, um, the same year you did the Warriors, you were also in a a film, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, film that won Best Picture that year, Kramer versus
Kramer,
Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer. Yes.
Yeah.
Now that's a good story.
Okay.
It's off subject, but I started again. I started as an extra because I used to do extra work in New York,
Hmm.
and I started as an extra, and it was the party scene, the Christmas party scene where he ultimately gets the job. So and then what happened there is he comes out after he gets the job, and I'm an extra at the party, and he comes up to me, and they're rolling. He says, he says, just say Merry Christmas. They roll. He walks past me. He says Merry Christmas to me. I say Merry Christmas, and he walks on. And you know what? I got residuals from that movie, and that movie helped me pay insurance for like 5 years. I still get residuals from that. So I always thank Dustin Hoffman. If I ever, when I run into him or see him, I go, you may not remember this, but thanks to you, I got my health insurance for 5 years. Or, yeah. So,
And I believe it was the Best Picture winner that year.
yes, it
Uh,
was.
yeah. How's it feel to be in the Warriors, but you're also in a Academy Award Best Picture winner? That's going to be a big thing for you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love both movies. I think they're both wonderful. And it was all happening in New York, so it was really fun. I didn't have to go too far, to get there, and because I was in the city. And yeah, I love both those films. I'm very proud to be a part of them. Have my name, on the credits. I don't know today if it works like that, where you're an extra and you're getting, you know, it's changed. And LA is different. I think rarely, if you're an extra, will you get called up to say a line or have an extra bit. And I don't know even if they're doing it that much anymore. But I was there at a good time, you know, when it was easier to, say, hey, come on, you're a Lizzie now. Uh, you want a part? Yeah, yeah.
Well, you mentioned Dustin Hoffman. Like, what what an actor. I mean, The Graduate, then to
Mhm.
Midnight Cowboy, two totally different roles. And he's in Lenny, he's in Marathon Man, and goes on and
Midnight
he does.
Cowboy.
Yeah, I mentioned Midnight Cowboy, didn't I?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, Midnight
Because I have
Cowboy.
a little story if you want a little story there.
Sure.
So Dustin Hoffman was already a mega star because of The Graduate, I believe it was.
Hmm.
And John Schlesinger, who was a dear friend, he's passed, but he was a brilliant director, and he didn't want to meet Dustin Hoffman because Dustin was a star, and he needed Ratso Rizzo, so he didn't want to meet him. And Dustin's agent is like, you got to meet him, you got to meet him. He's like, no, he's a star. I don't want this. So he says, okay, I got just meet him. Okay. So they made an appointment like on 42nd and 8th Avenue. There was a Schraps. And so at midnight, so John agrees and he goes and he's looking around and looking around. He can't see him. He's like, he's not even here. Looks around, and he becomes aware that he's sitting like at a in the back somewhere, and he's all hasn't shaved, he hasn't bathed, Dustin, and and John was like shocked that he could make that transition. He's like, "There's Ratso, there's Ratso Rizzo." So Dustin worked for that role. And I know too, John Voight wanted that role so desperately. And he was like off the radar and he was not even in the country. And he saw something and he's like, I got to be in that movie. I have to be in that movie. So those two actors really worked to get those parts, you
Yeah.
know?
I've got Midnight Cowboy here, and I've had Tina Scala on the show. She's now gone. She's passed away, but she was the pregnant woman in the laundry scene.
Mm,
Yep. Yep.
mm-hmm.
She said that Dustin's very short.
Well, yeah, I don't know how tall he is, but yeah, he's not a tall man. But a lot of the actors aren't necessarily tall,
Hmm.
but you can't really tell so much on screen. They all look like giants.
Yeah. I thought he was brilliant in Tootsie as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right,
I,
you want to hear a Tootsie story?
oh yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm in LA now, and I had an experience with Kramer. So I get a call from my agent, and she's like, "They're calling you in. Dustin Hoffman's calling you in. Don't go." I said, "What do you mean, don't go?" "No, don't go." I said, "What are you talking about? It was it like CAA, big talent agency." I said, "I'm going." So I go. And I sit, and there's Dustin, and we're talking, and he's like, I'm there for basically an audition interview because there's no dialogue, right? So he's like, "Why don't you take off your makeup?" I said, "Oh, okay. I'll just go to the bathroom." He's like, "No, no, do it here." I'm like, "Okay." So he gives me like some tissues. I take out my legs. I take out my eyes. Like, he's like, "Okay." So, and then we talk for a little bit. He's like, "Okay, thank you very much." Well, it turned out what I think ultimately, and why the agent said is don't go in, because he was calling in a lot of actors, actresses, and I think this is my own projection, that he was learning how an actress would behave in an audition, how an actress takes off her makeup. So I think he was utilizing us for research for his role as an actress in Tootsie.
Oh wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. I thought he was brilliant in Tootsie, Wag the Dog, Rain Man, so many
Great
things,
movies.
you know. And of
Yeah.
course, Meryl Streep in that movie as well, you
Kramer.
know.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jane
She,
Alexander.
did Meryl get a best actress or supporting for that?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I believe she did. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah, it was beautiful. I didn't work with her on that.
No.
She wasn't in that scene,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Gene Alexander after All the President's Men, also in this, and Gilbert Williams. You had a good cast in that movie, you know. Now you
Yes,
mentioned John Schuster. I'm gonna get that
yes,
name screwed up, but you were also in Eye for an Eye, which I saw in theaters when that came out, you know. Um,
right.
yeah, I love Sally Field.
Yeah, yes, so kind too.
hmm
Nice people, or beautiful actress.
What was it
And
like working for John after, because obviously after Midnight Cowboy, you've been familiar with him for a long time. Now you're getting to work with him.
it was wonderful. I played basically an employee in an office. We were at a conference table. We were all talking, throwing out ideas. Sally was wonderful. John was great. And John came up to me. I remember he whispered in my ear, he says, "Don't move your eyes so much." I said, "Okay." That was my bit of direction from him. He's a marvelous human. Great man.
And of course, you were also in Partners. Now, I heard an interesting thing about Partners
Yeah,
that,
what'd you hear?
well, if this had been done, I think that this movie would have been all. I'm not criticizing how it was, but when I think what it could have been, I heard originally they wanted Clint Eastwood and Woody Allen in
I
that
never heard
movie,
that.
and Clint
Oh,
Eastwood was down for it
yeah.
if Woody Allen was down for it as well, but Woody Allen wasn't down for it. And I'm sitting here thinking, how interesting would that movie look if it was Clint Eastwood and Woody Allen?
That would have been wild. I think yeah, I can't even imagine, truthfully. I think, John Hurt was an extraordinary
Oh,
actor.
yes, he was. Yep.
Oh my gosh, Midnight Express.
hmm
Oh, remember? It,
Alien. He was the first one attacked by the alien.
and an Elephant Man.
hmm
He did that. Yeah, he's an incredible actor. And Ryan was very nice. So here's my story. You want my
Yeah,
partner's
oh, yeah.
story?
We're all down for stories here. Yes.
Okay. So it's my first I'm in LA. It's my first movie in Los Angeles. I got a part. It's a nice role. I played like a jogger that Ryan O'Neal ultimately picks up and we go to bed. So what happens there is I'm excited, I'm nervous, and I'm playing a jogger. So I'm like running, I'm working up a sweat, and Ryan comes up. He's like, "Stop running." I'm like, he's like, "Just they'll spray you down." And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so stressed by that energy and thinking I was doing it. Oh my God, I'm not supposed to be sweating. So, just something came through me. I don't even know how it came. It just came through. And I said, "I think you're a wonderful actor." And he went, "Go, run, build up your sweat, get your sweat going. Go ahead, go." He could not have been kinder, sweeter. And then I have a scene in the bathroom and made everybody leave, and just so that I felt safe and protected. And it was very sweet, that whole like transition from like to couldn't have been kinder. He was very protective of me at that point. So I don't know. It just came through, it was a gift.
Yeah, we just lost Ryan O'Neal not too long ago
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
He was in one of the funniest movies I'd ever seen that came out the year
What's
I
up?
was born. What's Up, Doc? You
What's up,
know?
Doc? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hysterical.
I
What a
s-
movie with Barbara Streisand.
I still laugh at that movie, you know?
Forever. That's a classic.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But you're also involved in other elements of film as well.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, I co-wrote and co-directed a film called Three Janes. It started as Tricks, but then there was another title with that another movie came out that same year, so we changed it to Three Janes. So directing is beautiful, but as my I have because I teach acting, I know how to talk to actors to get a performance that, as a director, you have vision. Then you need your actors to fulfill your vision. So as I teach, I know how to get a performance out of an actor because I know the language. I think a lot of directors, they don't know how to do that because they don't learn that. They learn camera, they learn lighting, they learn, they come from editing, or they come from being an assistant director, or they come from film school or something, but they don't necessarily learn how to speak to an actor to get what they want. Some of them do, but a lot of them haven't really gotten that training, that information. So, that's why when you hear an actor go, "Oh, what a director! Oh, blah, 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 blah," because they feel that they were seen and heard and able to fulfill a director's vision because the director knew how to give them what they need to fulfill it.
Yeah, you also had a part in that as well. Was that you kind of wanting to do your Hitchcock appearance, or are you like kind of like juggling different hats? Woody Allen did it a lot. You appear and star in his own movies. Was it comfortable directing yourself?
Yeah, I actually co-directed it. So, I was, there were two of us. We co-wrote and co-directed it, and so I could be sitting in front of the camera with the actor and not worry about that there was no direction in the scene. So, but I do think I work with a lot of actors, and some of them are now directing, and it's so I'll help them on the scripts to work through for all the performances. They know what they want, but how do they get that? So then I assist them in breaking that material down for them so that they can get the performance from the actor that they require. And then they're also in it, because they're like a star of the show. So they're wearing two hats. And but it never hurts to have a third eye on that knows, because we get a little sometimes wrapped up and can't see a bigger picture. That's the thing too with acting. A lot of time an actor will see his role, through the eye of a needle, but you need to see the whole picture. That's what, I always say to my actors, okay, so you're directing this now. What do you want to see? What needs to happen in this scene? How are you going to fulfill this material? And so you're stepping back a little bit to look at a bigger picture, and then you go into it, fully. But you have that understanding of, beginning, middle, and end. This needs to be accomplished. This needs to be, addressed in this scene. So I help, coach through that
You
other eye. Yeah, it's important, you know.
Well, that's the kind of patience I probably wouldn't have. So you got some,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, there's
uh,
definitely takes patience. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So what do you have that's coming up that you're working on that you're able to talk about on here?
Well, theater wise, I just did a play last year called End Game by Samuel Beckett, and which who I love, is just wonderful. And so as a result of that, because I had really kind of stopped acting, for years. If someone calls me up and says, "Hey, I have a part for you," I say, "Great, I'd love to," but I'm not going through all of the process of auditioning, and now it's all self-taping. And I basically said to my manager, if something comes along theater wise, yes, but I'm not really looking to do film and TV now. And now it's HD. I think they see every pimple, every piece of hair, every wrinkle, and I don't want to do the whole thing. And I think that there's a lot in the industry that kind of requires youth. So I'd rather do Broadway or off Broadway, or LA theater than do all that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Do you have any charities that you're involved with that you want to plug on here?
Um, I work with group called Reading for Kids.
Mhm.
And I go to the public schools and we read to the children and then make a craft based on the book. But that's a wonderful organization if anyone is in LA. I don't know if they're, nationwide, but in Los Angeles, it's wonderful, going into underprivileged schools and, you know, sharing, reading, playing, making crafts. So
No, yeah, if you go to Chiller, you go do that with the rest of the warrior.
uh, maybe.
Apache will get a kick out of that comment.
That'll be fun. Yeah, for sure.
He would
Uh,
love to make crafts.
yeah, that'd be fun. You can make crafts. That would be fun.
Do you have any web page or any social media or anything that you want to plug on here?
Well, my Instagram is acting coach
Mhm.
Iris Klein, and my website is actingclassnow.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so and I'm on Zoom for some classes, and then I'm in the room for some classes. So if anyone is interested and wants to, but they're not in LA, they can come onto Zoom. And yeah, so they can just go into that website, all my info's there, and they can, reach out.
It's amazing technology, isn't it? Because you can do these on Zoom from other areas. Because, like I said, I was born in 1972, so I remember when phones were attached to the wall. My parents
Yeah,
still have an 8-track machine,
right. I
you
remember
know,
mine.
yeah, like I remember like growing up in the 70s and 80s, and I have a few memories of the 70s, a lot of the 80s, but I would hear people online say that, and I get it, movies and music and stuff like that, a lot of great stuff in the 70s and 80s and
Yes,
60s, 50s or whatever, a lot of
yes,
great stuff. But I hear a lot of people saying, well, I wish it was back then, and blah, blah, blah. And I did a video when I was in Toronto a few years ago where because now, we got our phones and they're like not just things to talk about, they're like little computers.
oh yes.
And I remember I came out of the wrong end of a mall and I didn't know where I was. And I did a video of myself talking to whoever listened to the video. And I said, it's funny, back in the 70s and 80s, I would have been scared to death coming out of the other end of that ball, not knowing where I was.
Hmm.
Now I just go on here and follow the little red line towards the street I need to go to.
Or find my car.
Yeah,
There's a thing in maps. You can parked car and you can find your car.
yeah. So I'm like, there's still some stuff today that's pretty beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it can be. I think there's two sides to it for sure. But like with the Zoom, when we went into I had a studio in Koreatown, and we go into pandemic, and now I'm like paying rent and I can't have anyone in my room. And like for 2 weeks, I was like rigor mortis. What the heck am I going to do? I can't teach. And then someone said to me, "Hey, go on Zoom." I said, "What is that?" And I ended up, hiring someone to teach me how to do it. And then I had my classes for a few years. All my classes were on Zoom, and it was amazing because it's very intimate. Even though we're not physically in the same space, it's very intimate, and it's beautiful for acting. And now everyone's casting off Zoom. You're sending in a self tape as an actor, right? You're taping it yourself, so you got to set it up, your whole thing. Hopefully, you have someone to read with you, or yeah, or if someone's on a recorder or something. And then after the self tape, let's say you get the call back. Now you're quite possibly working on Zoom with the director, with Spielberg, with who's ever casting it, because they're out of the country, you're here, and now they're casting off Zoom. And so I think it's important to know how to utilize that technology, because it's to your advantage as an actor now. There's a lot of casting happening that way.
Well, I remember in 2020, I had done 30 interviews and then the station went into lockdown. And it was like, I wasn't able to go in there and do them on the phone. I was in a panic because I had people waiting to come on my show.
Right.
And I was like, what am I going to do? I went the rest of the year. I'm still working because I did cleaning. So I was still working, but I was really depressed to the fact I could not do my show. And it
Mm,
was Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, who would introduce me to Zoom.
mm,
And it was actually uh, uh, well, an indie performer from the UK, Carrie Yates, who was involved in a movie that I had helped fund called 13 Fanboy. She was an executive on it. And she helped me get connected on Zoom. She ended up being my first Zoom interview, you
mm.
know. And I remember when we got connected, I was like, you want to be my first Zoom interview? But I kind of got it down
Nice.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so
Yeah.
much nice, that I don't have to schedule time to make sure the studio's free for me to do this, just
Right.
do it here and make people think I'm sitting in front of a deck and which I kind
Yeah.
of wish I was anyway, but
Yeah.
still,
Toronto.
I love Toronto. I love
Yeah, it's
Toronto. This
beautiful.
province here is so backwards. New Brunswick is so backwards,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah. But
Off the beaten path. Yeah. Yeah.
well, I don't want to complain too much about living in New Brunswick. It's just when you do a podcast like me, Toronto is kind of the place to be,
Hmm.
you know. So it's more my big cities. I love big cities anyway. So but
And you'll be
anyway,
in New York.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I
well,
you'll
it's
be
not
the
actually in
first.
the city, but you'll probably get over there. So you can ride a subway.
You know what? I'm looking forward to doing Chiller, you know. So hopefully they'll bring you in and the other Lizzie you're in touch. I'm sorry, her name
Doran.
escapes.
Doran Clark, yeah.
Doran?
Doran. Uh-huh.
Yep, yep.
Yes. She's
Yeah,
the one who
she
says that line. She's got the line, "We want to dance, little man." And that just came out like that wasn't planned earlier, like, but Walter came up with that right there. I mean, she didn't know she was going to have it till we walked back in the room. It's like, okay, you say this. So
wonder if they'll bring
spontaneous.
bring both of you over there. I should see if she'll come on the show here. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be great.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be
He-
great.
Here she still dances with little people.
You'll have to ask her.
There you go. There you go. Do you have anything
Yeah.
else you want to plug and promote on here?
Uh, I think I think that's good. I can't think offhand. If I had thought of that, maybe I would have had something, but I don't think so. I think it's all good. It's all here.
What do you think? 45 years of the Warriors and Kramer versus Kramer. We might as well not forget that's celebrating 45 years as well.
Right, you're right. Wow, good point.
That was a big year for you.
Yeah, it was great. It was New York.
There you
I work
go.
I worked on a bunch of movies then. I mean, there was King of the Gypsies. I don't know if you ever saw that one. Eric Roberts and Sterling Hayden.
Oh,
And
it's funny you mention Eric Roberts
okay.
because I'm no actor, but I had uh, a filmmaker named James Balsamo on here five
Mm,
times, and he goes to these conventions like the one I'm going to, and he gets people to appear cameo in his movies. He
mm,
approaches the actors and gets them to cameo. And anyway, he sends me a message one night. Actually, I was at the station, and he asked me if I'd shoot my own death scene for Cool as Hell 2, which I was kind of like, number one, I'm not an actor, but I was
Uh-huh.
like, I had to call him up to find out, you know, why,
Right.
but I did it.
Yeah.
And then he approaches me about doing It Wants Blood, where he wants me to shoot two scenes
Oh.
on my phone and send them to him. And
Hmm.
they're being watched on a television by Eric Roberts.
Oh, I see. So it was a scene shot for TV, watched by Eric. I see. Okay.
So I can't wait to, if I ever meet Eric, I can ask him, what was I like to work with? I haven't had him on here. I'd like to get him on here because of that. But I think it's kind of cool that he's watching me criticize his character on TV.
That's very funny.
It is
Very
kind of,
funny.
it is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and they shot it, and you shot it on your phone, so it could have been like any kind of quality almost because it was on the TV, so it wasn't needed to look like filmic. Yeah.
Again, another reason why technology is advanced. We couldn't do that back in the day,
No,
you know?
no, could not.
Like
Definitely.
I appear in 9 James Balsamo movies, and all I did was just shoot it on my phone. Is like he tells me what he wants, and I'm like, okay,
I love it.
if you want to
Yeah.
lower your movie to having me turn in a bad performance in it, okay.
You must be doing something right if he keeps calling you to work with him.
I actually the It Wants Blood one. I actually well, I got nothing against any of my work in it. Just, I'm kind of going off the cuff, and it's
Yeah.
just a variation of me, sort of, you know.
Right.
So yeah,
Staying
so
present and yeah, staying present and being in it.
he just tells me what he wants and delivers. So I come up with something, and
Well, that's great. You must be,
yeah,
yeah, you must be doing it right,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But I hope that you get to come to Chiller, and be part of that, because then I can get an extra signature on this thing,
Definitely. Yeah, that
I
would be
would
great.
love to get everybody, but it's gonna be awfully expensive. So um I'm reaching out, and anybody that has come on my show, I'll give them first dibs.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
I'll be at Lisa's table, so uh I can't get straight too far, because I
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I do want to make sure I meet the people that's done my show, because um it's respectful, and I appreciate them doing it.
for
So
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it was wonderful having you come on here today, and
Thank
talk to
you.
me. I much appreciate it. And Lizzie's forever.
Lizzie's forever.
Lizzie's forever.
Yeah. And thank
Y-
you for having me on the show. It's been a joy. Really fun.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, wonderful.
before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure. What do you want me to say?
Just state your name, and that you're one of the Lizzies and the Warriors,
Okay.
and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Do you want me to use my Lizzie last name or present?
Whatever you wish to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say, for example, Iris Klein, Lizzie from the Warriors, listening to Greg Gilbert on Python Paradise Radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Go
Okay.
for it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Iris Alhanty. I am a Lizzie in the Warriors, and you are listening to Greg Gilbert on
Python's
Paradise.
Paradise.
Python's Paradise. Sorry, I couldn't remember which came first. Okay, can we do it more time?
Go
One more
for
time?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Iris Klein. I'm a Lizzie in the Warriors, and you are listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise Radio. Thank you.
Absolutely, folks. Hopefully we'll get her and some other Lizzies at the chiller, because we've got 16 of the Warriors that are going to be there, and we need to get some Lizzie action there, so balance that
Definitely.
out. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah. Well,
absolutely,
I sure look forward to meeting you in person, and it's been a real pleasure working with you on Zoom.
absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate this, and you have yourself a wonderful, blessed day, and God bless.
Thank you. You as well. Thanks, Greg.
You take care.
You too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye.